When one is inclined to despair of the country, let him go to the Central Park on a Saturday and spend a few hours there, looking at the people, not those who come in gorgeous carriages, but those who arrive on foot or in those exceedingly democratic conveyances, the streetcars. New York Herald.
In the summer of 1865, as 4 long years of civil war came to an end, Frederick Law Olmsted returned to New York and resumed work on the great park he had begun 8 years before. In the years to come, Central Park would finally become the great democratic meeting ground Olmsted and Vaux had always dreamed of, if not always in ways they had envisioned, as new elevated railways soon brought poor New Yorkers as well as rich up on weekends and carried the city itself northward in new residential districts that soon flanked the park. Less than a decade after the war, more than 8.5 million people a year were escaping the noise and tumult of the city streets and plunging into Central Park, which had become, the New York Times declared, a majestic breathing space for the life of the city.
Here are all classes, represented with common purpose, competitive with none, disposing of jealousy toward none, each adding by his mere presence to the pleasure of all the others. You may often see vast numbers of persons brought closely together, poor and rich, young and old, Jew and Gentile. Is it doubtful that it does men good to come together in this way, in pure air and under the light of heaven? Frederick Law Olmsted.
It's an amazing thing to go there on an afternoon and see people of all classes and races in this public square, this great public square, which is what it is, mingling and having fun and relaxing together. That just the experience of doing things together like that creates a common bond, a common identity, a common sense of the city.
Central Park is really the thing that makes life in New York possible. New York's not a practical proposition without Central Park, and I think that you get that sense of juxtaposition, that you're really in a wild place. And then you can look around you and you're completely surrounded by skyscrapers, office buildings, and no other city in the world, I don't think, would allow that much of the most expensive acreage in the world to remain parkland.